My name is Wow, and when I was 15 years old, I went back to Thailand, where I was born. It had been 4 years since I left Thailand, and my mother, sister, and I had just arrived in our hometown. After a long flight, train ride, and taxi journey, we were exhausted. We decided to stay at a hotel before visiting our family. My mother and sister had their own room, and I asked if it was okay for me to have my own room as well. As I made my way down the narrow hallway to my room, I couldn't help but notice how quiet it was. The walls were painted a muted shade of beige, and the carpeting was worn and threadbare in places. I inserted the key to the door and pushed it open and stepped inside, feeling a chill run down my spine as the door creaked shut behind me. The room was small and musty, with old, faded wallpaper peeling away from the walls. The furniture was worn and outdated, with a bed that looked like it might collapse at any moment. A small desk sat in one corner of the room, with a rickety chair pulled up to it. I noticed that the light in the room was flickering, casting eerie shadows across the walls. I made my way over to the light switch and flipped it on, but it took a few seconds for the light to fully illuminate the room. Once the light was on, I noticed that the room had a strange, eerie quality to it. There was a sense of unease that permeated every corner of the room, and I couldn't help but feel as though I was being watched. As I walked over to the bed and dumped my luggage on it, suddenly, the light in the room started flickering and slowly went off, leaving me standing there in the dim room. I thought to myself that I was going to take a nap anyway, so I ignored it. I dug through my bag for my toothbrush and other hygiene items and walked into the bathroom. The bathroom was small and cramped, with an old, musty smell that seemed to linger in the air. The tiles were cracked and faded, and there was a small mirror over the sink that looked like it had seen better days. As I leaned over the sink to brush my teeth, I noticed that there was a strange, patchy area on the wall behind me. It looked like someone had tried to paint over a large section of the wall, but had done a poor job of it. I went back to continue what I was doing, brushing my teeth and washing my face. I turned on the faucet and started washing my hands when I heard a faint sound. I turned around to pinpoint the source of the sound, and it was the faucet. I turned it off, and the sound stopped after a few seconds. I turned the faucet on again, and after a few seconds, the sound started again. As I stood frozen in the dimly lit bathroom, the sound of a woman crying grew louder and louder. At first, it was barely audible, just a faint sobbing sound that I thought might be the result of faulty plumbing. But as I turned the faucet off and on again, the sound grew stronger, more intense, until it filled the entire room with a haunting, mournful wail. It was the kind of sound that could chill a person to the bone, the kind of sound that made the hairs on the back of my neck stand on end. It was a sound that seemed to come from everywhere at once, and yet nowhere in particular, as if it were being carried on the very air itself. As the crying grew louder, I began to feel an overwhelming sense of dread, as if some unseen force were trying to pull me down into the depths of a bottomless abyss. It was a feeling of terror unlike any I had ever experienced before, and it filled me with a sense of unease that I couldn't shake. With each passing second, the crying grew louder still, until it felt as though the woman was standing right beside me, and yet, when I turned around to look, there was no one there, just an empty room and a feeling of profound emptiness that seemed to stretch out into infinity. I rushed to the door to get out as fast as I could, leaving all my things behind. As I made my way to the hotel front desk agent, I could see that she was hiding something. Before I could say anything to her, she handed me my money back and offered to send someone to help me retrieve my belongings. I sat in the hotel lobby, waiting for the staff to retrieve my luggage from the haunted room. My mind was racing with questions. I couldn't shake the feeling that something terrible had happened in that room, something beyond what I had experienced with the crying sounds. The hotel staff seemed to be avoiding eye contact with me, and I couldn't help but wonder if they were hiding something. Suddenly, I remembered the wall in the bathroom that had been painted over, except for a small area that had been hastily left untouched. My curiosity got the best of me, and I asked the front desk agent if she knew anything about it. After a moment's hesitation, the agent reluctantly revealed the truth. A woman had took her own life in that very room. She had been staying in the hotel while she was going through a difficult time in her life, and one night she couldn't take it anymore. The hotel staff found her body the next morning, and the room had been closed off for some time after that. The more I thought about it, the more I realized that the crying sounds I had heard were most likely the ghostly echoes of the woman's final moments. It sent shivers down my spine to think that I was about to sleeping in the same room where someone had died so tragically. As I waited for my luggage to be retrieved, I couldn't help but feel a sense of unease. I wondered if the woman's spirit was still trapped in that room, and if she would ever be able to rest in peace.